down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is your how you do. My name is Steve VanCauwenbergh. I'm the Savvy Somebody, and we're going to crush it today. Anyway, I've been hanging around with a bunch of my homeboys, and they're new to the game. They don't know what to do. They buy a house, they fix it up, and how do they rent it out? So that's a good question, right? You got this asset. It was murder, getting the asset. You had to raise the money. That was murder times 2. You had to convince a bank to give you some money that you're cool and attractive. Then you get the property, you get the cash, and then you have fights with contractors, and you're crying, and you know they mess up the paint, and then they stole the material, and then you got to deal with that deal, and then you budgeted $20,000. At the end of the deal, you got it for $30,000. Now I know all you at analysis paralysis, you're like, yeah, that's why I'm not in real estate. You got to push through. You got to be an executor. You got to the people that are wealthy are through real estate. You got to keep that in mind. You got to keep that in perspective. When things are not going well, you got to go even harder. And so I've been hanging out with this awesome OG. I don't want to say his name, KK. You know who you are, and this one's for you. And they just got this deal done. They had to go through about 4 contractors. This is their first deal. They died a few times, and just the calls that I got from him, the text messages, the photo text messages, I'm like, I've been there, homeboy. I know what's up. They're like, hey, we're done. Now what do we do? Oh, shucks. You got to rent it out. So to be successful, you got to have a system. Now I'm going to break off a system to you, and now it's going to be all rough and around the edges. And if this is a subject that's speaking to you, you need some help with this, let me know, because I'm going to dive even deeper. But today, I'm just going to give you broad strokes so you can get the ball rolling. When I was hanging out with my homeboy, his partner in crime, she threw her hands up. What do I do next? I don't even know what to do. How do I qualify? How do I do everything? Oh, man, I've been there. So let's just go over the basics, and hopefully you get a few nuggets. So first of all, to be successful, you got to have a system. Whatever your system is, start documenting the system, write it out. I was talking to my homeboy just a little while ago. I'm telling you, I have a system on how I write podcasts. I have a system how I go to the bathroom. I have a system how I get dressed, how I do my laundry. How do you become successful faster? Through systems. You've got to write a system. You can't be willy-nilly about this deal. So here's my system on renting it out. First of all, I do this thing in stages. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, you got me, right? Stage 4, stage 5. Well, first of all, you got to get the person to the property. You got to attract them. Well, the first thing, you got to have marketing. Facebook marketing, off the chain, works, do it. Zillow, people are on it, do it. Hot pads, people are do it. I use a software called Buildium. It automatically syndicates. As soon as I put the pictures in and I put the detailed information, how much I want to rent it for, and I click a button and boom, it syndicates it. It drops it in Zillow. It does it all for me. So don't try to be cheap and not run. You're going to have to run with software. If you're going to run a successful social media company, you got to have software that's going to do a drip campaign. You got to have a software that's going to invoice people. It's going to have a software called the CRM. That's a system, customer relations management. You got to think like a business owner. You can't just pop one house. Oh, I'm a millionaire. Nope. You got to have a system. You know, I was talking to a friend today, and he sold the property because he didn't have a proper system in place to deal with flunky tenants. We have a system for flunky tenants. We have a system for disgruntled tenants. You got to have a system. Back on renting out the unit. You got to market this deal. Tell the world. You got to get it on Facebook. You got to get it on, Section 8. Wherever your eyeballs are, you got to get on the property. So for this episode, I'm not talking about marketing. I'm talking about the system, how to rent it out. So stage 1, you're going to qualify them. Now, do you want to get leads either through your website or through Zillow or through Facebook, through Messenger? You got to qualify them. That's the inquiry. Stage one. No matter who you are, I'm going to send you an email and I'm going to say this. If you are interested in one of my properties, I'm going to say, hey, bam, congratulations welcome to your new home. Positive. Number two, I ask these 4 pre-qualifying questions. Let's just say if you're a CEO and someone's inquiring about your services for social media, you're going to ask them, when are you going to make a decision? What's your budget? How long have you had social media? See, if you pre-qualify your potential customer, you can qualify and know if they're going to be your customer or not. You don't want to spend 3 hours with somebody and their budget's $200 for social media and you're trying to make a $1,500 sale. What's going to happen? You're dumb. All right. You just wasted a bunch of time. It's the same scenario. The same business as running real estate is the same as running an empire, a service-based business, a social media company, a burger company, or a window washing company. It's the same. You got to have a system and you got to qualify your customer. You got to qualify your inquiry. So my prospect, in this case, when do you want to move in? Okay. Will you be living by yourself? Or how many people will be living with you? Now, that's a question I ask you. Legally, you can't come out and say, do you have any kids? You can't say that. But you can say how many people are over 18 that are living in a property, because our policy is anyone that's living in a property over 18, they have to have an application. They got to be on the lease. So here we go. Here's my 4 questions I ask. And so what I'm doing right now, I'm creating a hurdle. Okay. People want to win. So you create a hurdle so they can win. And if they don't want to go over the hurdle, then they're not going to be the tenant for you, or they're not going to be the customer for you. 1, when do you want to move in? I want to move in, in August when I graduate. Well, that's not my customer. I'm sorry. Hey, we're renting this out today, right? We're renting it out next month. We're renting it right now. When do you want to move in? Will you be living by yourself? If not, how many people will be living with you? 2, that qualifies them. I want to know how many people are living in the property. Number 3, have you driven by the property? They're out of state. I'm telling you how many times I've been stung with an out of state. They're just focused on Oklahoma pricing. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Wow, that's a deal for $800 a month. They're paying 2 G's in California. You got to ask them, have you driven by the property? And then the next question is, when would you like to view the home? This time I said home. So if you notice, I'm playing games with people. Number 1, I'm desensitizing the product. I'm saying, have you driven by the property? It's like, it's a product. And then I say, when would you like to view the home? Here, what I'm looking for right here, if they're compliant. If they fire right back, great. If they don't reply back, then they were never interested. If they were a flunky professional tenant, they know that we're going to figure that out because we are professional. If you want to make money and you want to be successful, be professional. You want to be ghetto and not consistent, it's not going to work. First, it's against the law. The fair housing law says you have to be consistent and treat everyone the same. If you ask a different question to one person, it's against fair housing law. So you got to have a policy and a procedure, aka a system. Now, how did I rent my claim to fame? If you don't know me, if this is your first time on the episode, well, my claim to fame at one time, to be so savvy, I had 50 units and I managed those 50 units with less than 10 hours a week. And I ran it all through technology and I used the mail system to run it. And how did I do that? I had a system in place. And when someone inquired about a property, I clicked a button. Some people call it a drip campaign. It automatically emailed them those questions. And then when they reply back, another step happens. You got to create, it's also called a workflow or a cash flow or a funnel system. Use the same system for your business. So I send an email. If they reply, boom. And then I reply back, hey, I'm glad that you're interested in the property. You got to fill out an application. Fill out an application. See, that stops people in its place. Number 1, are they serious or are they just tire kickers? Number 2, are they trying to hide something? I'm not going to show a property if they're not going to take interest. And number 3, how do you get away with people filling out applications and other real estate investors, landlords, and people don't fill it out? First of all, I don't scare them with the price. I see a lot of applications out there, $35, $45. I've seen people charge $75 for an application. Wow. I don't. My saying is, to apply for our home, it's free. We will look at your application. If we see that your application is viable enough, we will request a background check. That background check costs $15. You pay that on with your own money, and you get a copy of that background check. And then if we do rent to you, then we require additional $10. That's right. A whole process to rent one of our properties, $25. See, we take the risk out. We take the problem out. Most people, they're running around, they're calling you, they're filling out an application. If they're on your website, they're ready to buy. It's your problem that you're not converting them into a sale. So stage one, qualify them. Create a hurdle. Are they even worthy? If I get them to fill out an application and I see they've been working at McDonald's for 1 month, that's not going to work. Why? Because I have a policy in the place. You got to make 3 times the income. If your rent is $700 a month, 7 times 3 is 21. You got to make $2,100 a month, and I would prefer you to be net. Okay. And so right there, if they work at McDonald's and they're making $4 an hour and they're only working 10 hours a week, which is $40 a week, that's not going to qualify for one of my cribs. We're just not going to go any longer, and I'm not going to issue them a background check. Okay. So stage 1, qualify. Stage 2, we screen them. We get them to fill the application. If they fill out the application, we move on and it looks pretty decent and we approve them, we move them on. If they don't, if it's rejected, we do nothing. We don't talk to them. Okay. I learned from a long time ago, when you reply back to people, you are disqualified or rejected. People want to know why. And I get it. I want to know why. Why are you fat? Because you eat too many cheeseburgers, but no one wants to accept the truth, or you don't exercise, right? Nobody wants to hear the truth. But when they do when you tell somebody the truth, they get all up in arms. So no, I don't eat that many cheeseburgers. Well, ma'am, you got bad credit. You suck. You didn't pay your bill and you burned the last landlord. That's why we don't want to get in that conflict. So that's why we don't respond back to people. If they fill out an application and they did the background check, then we will say, then I send them another canned email that says you were declined because of this thing. And it's real simple. We make it as simple as possible without any conflict. We don't want to take people's money and then, we don't rent to them. It creates an expectation in their mind and it becomes a problem. I know there's some sketchy landlords out there taking people's money, applications, and going to lunch and having a good time. I just don't operate like that. Now, if their application looks good, they filled it out. Now, by now, they're probably showing the property, or they looked at the property, or if they've driven by the property. I won't even talk to you if you don't even get to that level. If you don't comply, or if you don't respond to any of my 4 questions, like they don't tell me how many people are living in there, they're not going to pay their rent either. Okay. These are just levels of protection so we don't waste any time. And I do all this online, all automated. Bang, bang. Number 3, when they do fill out an application, they were committed. They paid the $1,500 background check. Bam, automatically send them an email that says you're 90% approved. Yep. I create an expectation in their mind. You're approved. Now, your background check may not be robust enough. We're going to dig deeper into them, and then we're going to send them another email, and we're just continuing to communicate with them back and forth and see if they're compliant. If they ask a lot of questions, they're probably not going to be the best tenant. But if they follow the rules, then we're going to probably work with them. Now, stage 4. I go through their application. Now, when you're going through this application, make sure you look for their employment. You verify their employment. If you can't verify their employment, get their pay stub. Can't get their pay stub, figure it out. How long they've been employed. You got to do your due diligence. And we can spend a whole episode covering due diligence. Then I send them an email. Right then, I say, hey, you're approved. We need your deposit, X amount, to hold the home for you. You have 5 days to make this deposit. And that's another canned email. All these are canned email. They're flowing in our system, and we're directing them, and we're setting an expectation. And check this out, a sense of urgency. I think a lot of y'all need to hear that today. You're not telling people that it's going to be rented if you don't jump on the thing. They are serious that they're filling out an inquiry. It's very rare that someone's going to fill out a bunch of applications just because they're going to get rejected. But if you come out with those questions in it, they're going to, I need to move next week. Well, they're being evicted. Well, if they give you a proper 30-day notice, you know where they're going to go. So after they approved, I send them the email. If they're rejected, I don't do nothing. I call the applicant and let them know what's going on, how you're going to pay it. And then I also email them and I double check what the total cost is to move in. So when you're going to move in, how much it's going to cost, when, and I go through that whole process. So that's stage 4. Then stage 5, I collect their money, bang, bang. I make them sign a non-refundable agreement. We're not playing around. Don't try to rent our place and then change your mind, because I took it off the internet. I have a 1-page document that's very clear. We are holding this home for you to this date. At any time you want to change your mind, you will lose your non-refundable deposit. And I make them sign an agreement. Then stage 6, I create the lease packet, which is about 30 pages, go through the whole process. Number 7, I give them the keys and I walk through it. Pretty simple process. That's how we rent cribs out. Now, how do you make this real successful? Because you're busy. You run a social media company and then you own your first house. Real simple, homeboy. You have a checklist. Ooh, you should write that down. I need a checklist. Write it down. Write it down. I'm going to tell you one more time. Checklist. Start burning that in your head. I'm telling you, I used to run a DJ company. I used to have 7 DJs working at one time. And every freaking weekend, some idiot, man, I forgot my stands. Ooh, I forgot the music. Damn. Where's my laptop? I forgot it. No more of that game. When you have a checklist, you mentally go through it line by line. For example, I know how psycho you think I am, but I'm going on a holiday break. It's fall break. I got little children. And I don't want to think about, man, I have a checklist. And just for, I forgot I need my phone. I'm riding in a different vehicle and I need my magnetic thing for my phone. So I have a checklist, what to bring when I travel. Electronics, extra cable, tablet, laptop, underwear, socks. You feel me? Get a checklist. The same thing, and I think I got a podcast way back when, you could try to find it on there, but I go through every single lease on a checklist. And here's a simple list. Did I get their application? Pretty simple. Did they pay for the application? Did I get a copy of their driver's license, their ID? Do you know how many times that I've signed a lease with somebody, they show up with the money and they didn't have an ID? What if they are wanted? Did I get their background check results? Did I copy 2 copies of the lease? What's their move in, move out checklist form? Is it signed? FYI sheet, on and on. Did they lockbox? Did I pick up the lockbox? Did I give them a welcome letter? Did I explain to them about pests, that we don't spray for roaches? If you got them, you got them. You started with them because the house didn't have them. I go into the eviction process, peanut butter and jelly. I go over that. I go over the smoke detector addendum. I go over, the mold addendum, smoke-free addendum. I even have a checklist that says, scan these documents, dummy, and put them in the computer. Ooh, yes. So if you want to be successful and you want to make more money like everybody else does, 2 things. You need to have templates and you need to have a checklist. What do you mean by template? Well, I have a homeboy that wants to start a radio show, his own podcast. And he's like, yo, man, how did you get people on your radio show? Well, I crafted an email, which is called the template, and I sent it to as many people as I could, and I rewrote the lightly that was real specific for that customer. If I wanted someone to interview on my radio show that's, Phillips, the guy, the swimmer dude, I would talk about weed and swimming. No, I'm just playing. But you feel me? I changed the letter a little bit. That's called the template. And you have this wonderful product called Google Drive, and Google Drive has a free service that's worldwide that you can put templates in there. So I create templates that are application rejections, your approved, your inquiry, your approved email. All the processes are all templates, so I don't have to think about it. And then the final thing is checklist. Oh boy, you gotta have checklists. I'm telling you, you're busy, you got children, you're running around, you gotta be home, you forgot this. I'm telling you, I remember if I wanted to grow to 300 properties, I needed a checklist. It was impossible for me to memorize everybody's name. I have a system on how I file electronically. Everything's in the cloud. It's super encrypted. How do I handle it? I have a system for this. So start out, grab a pen, and maybe I'll teach you how to do systems. Anyway, hopefully this inspired you. Hopefully you got juiced up on it. If I missed something, let me know so I can help somebody else out there. Other than that, this is your boy, Steve VanCauwenbergh, the Savvy Somebody, trying to do it every day.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at SavvyRadioShow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.